Welcome to the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast. We have a new series we'd like to tackle with you here that Robert is suggested, particularly from things that he's observed coming out of not only the world around us, but also the readings, because this is starting to show up significantly in the collective. What we're talking about here is Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Now, right now, as this is being recorded in mid-September 2023, Saturn is in retrograde in Pisces, so maybe that he'll talk about that a little bit too. But what we're going to do is walk through, beginning with Aries, all of the 12 signs related to Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn in Pisces, if you are an Aries rising, or if you are an Aries sun sign, you'll be first up. But for those of you who are interested in doing readings or are doing readings, this is going to be information that you'll want in your astrological library as you continue to work toward that in your astrology career. So there's a little bit of something here for everybody. Robert, let's set this up. Why are we talking about Saturn in Pisces anyway?
Well, of all the transiting planets, Saturn is the one I look to first. I like to call Saturn the get real planet because it demands, if you don't get real about the areas being affected by transiting Saturn in your chart, then you are shirking responsibility. Saturn is karma. Karma is responsibilities. It's obligations that you have chosen to incarnate with. So in every reading that I do, really, the position of transiting Saturn is really paramount to what's going on in terms of the person's life structure. You know, Saturn and Capricorn both rule the skeleton in the physical body. And that's the framework for our lives. If we didn't have skeletons, we would be a puddle of flesh and tissue. But it's the skeleton, Saturn, is what gives our life structure. And in transiting in Pisces, the structure of everybody's life on Earth, whether it's a government or you or me, is in transition. And it's a big transition. This is going from Pisces into Aries of new starts. Saturn doesn't go into Aries completely until February of 2026. Now, right now, transiting Saturn is retrograding in Pisces. It goes back to 0 degrees Pisces. And in November, just a couple of months away, it turns direct at 0 Pisces. And then it continues on through Pisces all the way through February of 26 when it enters Aries of new start. So that's where we're all headed. The world is headed for new starts, big ones in 2026. Pisces can be a sign of confusion because it literally is a period in everyone's life, including the life on this planet, of transitioning, simultaneously dying to one whole era of life at the same time that you are being reborn into a new era that seems unfamiliar because it is new. So the sense of confusion and sometimes even panic or anxiety that a lot of people are experiencing now is due to this transition of Saturn, the framework of their lives, slowly dissolving before their very eyes and being replaced by something new. One of the key words with Saturn in Pisces is refinement. And to some degree, all of us are either by choice, conscious choice, or through fate, if you will, things that happen to us, being forced to refine our lives, to clean up our act in the old vernacular of this. So Pisces has to do with personal habits that may be negative. If you drink too much alcohol, smoke too much marijuana, or you're on recreational drugs, all of which are associated with Pisces, for example, those things now probably need to come to an end in your life. They may have brought you some kinds of benefits in the past, but now they have become toxic and they are interfering with your practical day-to-day living. So where Saturn is now by transit in relationship either to your sun sign or to your ascending sign becomes a key to understanding what Saturn is doing in your life and where you need to pay attention and get real. Does that make sense?
Boy, that's a great description of the macro. Now let's bring it into the first of these signs that we're going to do. What would you do with the macro to apply it to if you are in the sign of where Saturn is headed by 2026? Obviously, Aries.
If you have Aries rising, or if your sun sign is Aries, then for between now and February the 26th, it's a twofold thing. One is that you need to pay attention to two primary areas, and this applies to other signs as well, but particularly Aries, your work and your health. The 12th sign for Aries is Pisces. It's right behind Aries. So it's the 12th house. This is a period between now and then where all of the hidden and secretive and furtive and possibly destructive habits and relationships in your life are now becoming toxic to you. And there will be negative relationships, negative personal habits that you need to be conscious of and eliminate or refine. It can be tremendously confusing to Aries because they sense that there is a much deeper spiritual connection. And by that, I mean a wider, bigger, broader, deeper area of consciousness expansion. So one of the great things that Aries people can do in this period is to begin searching for and embracing higher philosophical and spiritual knowledge. Read things, go to groups. Some of them won't work out for you, others will. It's all about refining, but you have to be exploring, trying to perceive consciously on a higher conscious level of all of the hidden factors in you and in life that are contributing to your well-being. Or not. You know, the 12th house not only rules secret sorrow and self-undoing, it also rules hidden support. And people forget this. Saturn in the 12th house in Pisces for an Aries sun sign or Aries rising gives you hidden support if you will work to find it. Saturn always takes work. It doesn't come to you like the tooth fairy. This is something you have to seek and take seriously to work. If you don't, what many Aries rising or Aries sun sign people will experience is this secret inner feeling like nothing is working out like I wanted, or the things I've thought I've always wanted, they're not working out. Well, they are working out, but they're coming to an end. They've worked out, and this is as far as they will go. And now you're being asked as an Aries sun or Aries rising to search deeper and work at it. Don't take this stuff superficially. So one of the things many people can benefit from, Aries rising or sun sign, is psychology. Get in a group. Get in a spiritual group, a metaphysical group, an astrological group, anything that raises your consciousness. It does rule pharmaceuticals and drugs. Ever hear of ayahuasca? That's a drug. It's a pharmaceutical plant-based drug. If you do it right, and I've heard nothing but really beneficial experiences with a true ayahuasca experience, but they're out there to be found. Now, these are psychedelics. In fact, in the United States now, among psychiatrists, they are re-exploring acid, LSD, for its therapeutic values, because the expansion of consciousness that these things can give, and that's really the key to this Saturn in transit for Aries people rising or sun sign, is expand your, don't be afraid, because many times with Saturn going through Pisces for Aries and Aries rising, they have secret fears of their own worthlessness. Aries is not known for expressing worthlessness. It tends to come across as pretty strong and opinionated and knows exactly what it's doing and tells you and all of that. But secretly, they feel like they're inadequate or that they're failing to live up to something either they dreamed for themselves or something other people have expected them to be. So that transition is making them question their jobs, question their marriages, question themselves, even their own sanity. And it can, but the motive behind that sense of frustration and confusion and uncertainty is meant to motivate them to refine and clarify these new directions that they are about to enter, which starts in February of 26. Their lives are changing in a wonderful, dramatic way. And sometimes it can mean literally the end of a former career direction, the end of a marriage direction, the end of a love affair. It is about Pisces endings and simultaneously new beginnings. So what their experience is that certain trends in their lives and certain areas of their lives have outlived their usefulness. They're no longer contributing in a positive way. They're contributing, holding people back, these people. And so be willing not to act impulsively, which is one of Aries' negative traits sometimes. Don't leave a marriage because impulsively. If the marriage is truly toxic, go to a therapist, get a third party involved so that the two of you have an objective opinion and can maybe act as a middleman between the two of your communications, so that if you do decide to end a marriage, you know that both of you have genuinely tried to make it work, and you've realized mutually that it is no longer working and is unlikely to work going down the future, so that you can make that ending in a positive, healthy way. If you just break up on your own, you've got a lot of unfinished business that's going to trail after you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. And in fact, for not just Aries, for everybody, I know one of the things you probably have been hearing, and I've heard it a lot, is that people are saying that relationships that they've had for years, I'm not saying relationships in the seventh house context, I'm saying friendships, partnerships, business partnerships, whatever, things that have been in place for years or decades are fading away. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Another aspect of this, Thomas, is dreams. People, Aries rising and Aries sun signs, pay attention to your dreams. 12th house. Some of them will be nightmares, but some of them won't be. But either way, the dreams, learn to interpret your own dreams. You can certainly go buy a dream book and get interpretations there, but you can interpret your dreams yourself. If you learn to do it, it doesn't take much. Dreams can be a wonderful pathway into this higher level of consciousness because they are from your subconscious, and dreams are an intersection between this life and the pre-physical life, the non-physical life, the psychic life, if you will. And many times during this transit of Saturn through Pisces for Aries people, they are awakening on a psychic level that they have never known before. And this can include things like out-of-body experiences as well as dreams. And those areas, the non-physical areas, study philosophy, study psychology, study astrology. Perfect for Aries people during this period because you will find out a lot about yourself. And just like ancient tribes, dreams can be revelatory and incredibly enriching. So don't be afraid of them. Be welcoming to them, because you will meet experiences in dreams that will teach you a ton about yourself and where you want to go. And that's what Aries are all looking for. I need a new direction in life. I'm burnt out. The old things aren't working anymore. I'm burdened with a job I hate, with bills I can't pay, with a frustration in terms of my work. What have I got now? At whatever age you are, what have I got now that I really want to give and develop, give back to the world and develop in myself, that's going to help me through this transition into something new and exciting, like excitement I used to know? And they can find it.
Wow, that's great. This is going to be an awesome series. Hey, give us just a peek into, we're going to do these probably about every other release, but give us a peek into Taurus. What will we be talking about thematically there? Just a little peek around the corner.
A little hint. Taurus people are one of the signs that actually have a positive relationship to, or let's say a harmonious relationship to the Saturn in Pisces transit. For Taurus people, either rising or by sun sign, Saturn is going through your 11th house, which has to do with hopes, dreams, and ambitions in the old textbook. But it's right. The 11th house is your future in the collective. So it is very much about what can I give of my talents, my leanings, my experience, my interests. What can I give, and how can I give it professionally, probably, through my work to the collective?
Wow, perfect. All right, good little glimpse into what we'll be talking about in the next part of this series. If you'd like to check in with Robert, you can book him directly through the link in the show notes. And then also in there is everything else we have going on. Would love for you to check that out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast with Robert Glasscock.